Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is LFS Coach, and in this video, I'll be explaining to you how to use the TDI Smart Money Indicator on TradingView. In this particular video, I'll be doing a live backtest to see how I filter out some trades and how the TDI indicator has also helped me in taking profitable trade. So this video is just for you to see how to use this indicator effectively. So for instance, we have a very bad trade today. We have this buy on this supply on this demand zone. Okay, demand or support zone. Okay, basically we have this TDI cross, and then you can see that the trade actually triggered our stop and continues to go down. Okay, so normally, when you program an indicator, once the condition are met, it just gives you the signal, right? So as human, you have to have a second look at the signal to see if it's signal that you're going to take or not. And that's the essence of this video, just to share with you how I manually filter my trades and how to help you take some more profitable trades rather than all the signal that is coming up. Okay, so you can see for me personally, this is not a very strong support zone. Okay, this is not a very strong support zone. So I will not be expecting the market to bounce from here. So I will basically ignore this kind of trade. Okay, and also you can see that the moving average is converging already. So it looks as if it's going to cross the 200 moving average and continue to go down. Okay, so this is like an early signal for you to avoid this kind of trade. But sometimes, the market can bounce off and then continue to go higher. But there are some other things I personally would like to look out for before I take this kind of trade. And probably we'll have some examples that we'll look at in this video. So as you can see, the smart arrow, okay, and the smart zone is giving the same signal. So I need to point this out. So we have this nice cell here, and you can see the same cell on the smart arrow. Okay, we have this very nice cell. Okay, and if you look at this signal, for instance, so we are in a downtrend, the market move down, then move back up, more like a retracement, and we have this sell signal. So sometimes you need to read the market manually to check the trade you pick and the one you ignore. Okay, so basically we'll have a lot of examples to look at. Right. So what I want to do at this stage now is I want to stop the supply and demand filter. Okay. So basically what we are doing now is we have level guide on, and we are trading with TDI cross and market baseline. Okay. So that's basically what we are trading with Smart Arrow. Why for the TDI zone? So we are using the TDI and the market baseline. Then we have our supply and demand, and we have level guide off. Okay. So this is just to see how I use these two indicators simultaneously to filter out unnecessary trades and pick the profitable ones. All right, so just for refresher, for those of you who have not seen my previous video on um, mastering the art of TDI indicator, how to basically use TDI, I'm going to give you a refresher, just to understand how the several signals or several strategies you can get with TDI indicator. All right, so just a very quick refresher. If you want to see the full video where I explained what TDI is, the setup, and how to trade with TDI, you have to watch my video, Mastering the Art of TDI. All right, so we have the shark fin setup. Basically, the shark fin setup is a reversal signal, where the market is in a very strong downtrend, it gets to the overbought period or oversold period, basically the extreme zone, and we have the market push, we have this green line push out of the Bollinger Band and then cross back in. All right, so that's where we have our shark fin, and shark fin is very good to spot divergence. All right, so we have this market, reversed. We also have this market reversed. All right, so this is one setup. You can also trade with the Fibonacci. Remember, I've said this over and over again that you don't use TDI setup alone. Make sure you are using TDI setup with other technical analysis. All right, so TDI indicator should just be your trigger into the market. It's like your entry condition into the market. So if you have been following my channel as well, you know I like the level 50 and level 61 zone. Right. So when the market is in a downtrend, I'll wait for the market to pull back, to level 50 or level 61. And when I have like this shark fin, is a sign for me that the market is continuing in that direction. All right. So this is another setup. Another setup is the market baseline continuation, and that is when, for instance, so this is also with a trend line. You can see the market is, giving us higher lows, right? And on this touch on the trend line, you can see that the green and the red moving average is crossing above the yellow market baseline, and then we have this push to the upside. Okay. Also, we have divergence, with TDI. So you can see here that the chart is doing higher highs while the TDI indicator is doing lower highs, right? So when you spot this kind of setup, this is a divergence, and your TDI is going to help you to give you a trigger into the market. Right. So these are what we are going to be looking at for when we are doing the back test, because this is how you will master how to use this TDI indicator. Right. So another setup is the divergence and market baseline continuation setup. So after this divergence, let's just assume you miss out on this massive sell. Right. You can see the market now push back, and at this point you can see that the market, you can see the TDI is bouncing off from this yellow market baseline, just like very similar to the last to the previous one I showed you here. So this is for uptrend, and this is for downtrend, right? So you can see how these are the stuff you look out for when you are trading with this indicator. You are looking out for market baseline continuation, TDI cross, divergence, and using Fibonacci supply and demand, to give you confluence into the market. For instance, what we have on this chart now, you can see that this demand zone, is like support zone now becoming resistant at this zone. Right? So you can see that easily when you're trading with TDI. So this is more like a refresher. You can watch the full video where I explain about TDI strategy. So let's come back to trading view, where we are going to do a very quick back test, because I don't want this video to be very long. So we're going to do a quick back test where I'll be showing you what you need to look out for. It's not about the buy and sell signal that's coming up. Basically, it's you understanding why the buy is coming up, what is happening in the chart. Will you take this trade? Will you not take this trade? Right. So this is the important stuff I want you to learn from this video. Okay, so let's just do back replay. Let's pick a date. Right. So let's start from a Monday. Yeah. So what we can see on this chart now is the market is in a very strong downtrend. You can see the downtrend has been around for a very long time. You can see the cross here, and we have this pullback, we have this continuation, we have pullback, we have continuation. So the trend has attempted to cross for a very long time now. And remember, this is on a 5-minute chart. Okay, so yeah, we want to start from on the Monday on the 16th of March. So let's see the opportunity we have, and also how I read the indicator and what is happening on the chart. So me looking at this last signal that come up. So also you can see that the TDI, the moving average, is converging, trying to cross to the upside, and this sell signal comes up. And again, just this is similar to what's happened today. Look at the resistance zone the indicator is referencing. This resistance zone. This is not a very solid resistance zone to give me a sell, that will reverse this trend. Look at the trend. So this resistance is not strong enough to reverse the market. All right, I will not be, looking forward to this zone as the resistance zone that will reverse this market. I will probably be looking at this one here. So this is more like a peak high. Actually, the market did not really get to that zone, all right? But I mean, you can follow this one. So that's why I had to turn this one on, so that when you are trading manually, you are not just you have an open mind to where your signal will come up. When this sell comes up, I'm definitely going to ignore. When this one comes up, I'm going to definitely ignore. But when this one comes up, then I can go with this, or probably wait for my market baseline course at this zone, right? Then I can go with market baseline course, because this is closer to this resistance zone, and I am more confident respecting this zone than this minor zone that is coming up here. Again, like I said, the indicator will follow whatever is on the screen. It will follow the input, right? So this is why this is happening. For instance, I can decide to just also a bit of refresher. I can decide to change, how this supply and demand zone is being constructed. So look at this dotted zone. If I decide to make my structure pivot 20, look at what's going to happen. So my zone will definitely change. If I change this from 0.5 to 1, look at what happens again. You can see it's widening up, the zone. If I change this to pivot 50, so it's going to give me the obvious zone only. So now what this 50 means is that it will look for 50 candles in the past, 50 candles in the future, and then pick the resistance and support level. Okay, look at the cell now. It looks really neat, right? Look at the other cell, disappeared, right? So this happens, when you give obvious zone. So now what the indicator is looking for now are obvious zone to mark as supply and demand, or support and resistance zone. Okay, so what I'm trying to make you understand here is that the indicator will give you signal based on the input, right? It is very important for you to understand what is happening, because the indicator is to give you visuals to understand what is happening in the market. Okay, so there should be some manual and human interpretation to what is happening on the chart. So you don't just follow the buy and sell blindly. So that's the essence of what I'm showing you right here. So we go back to our default settings, 15 and 0.5. And yeah, let's just back test to see some signals that we're going to reject and some signals we're going to follow. Yeah, so first of all, you can also use the dashboard to have some information. So as you can see, the trend is bearish. The zone is currently on demand zone. You can see it's currently on demand zone. Fibonacci is off, so it's neutral. We have our TDI level at 53. We have swing from low to high, so trying to draw the swing low and high. And the last signal is short TDI. Okay, this one's, and we have supply and demand as our filter. So you can also be getting some information from the dashboard. Okay. So now, let me play and let's just see what is happening. So this is basically early in the morning or at night probably. So you will probably be sleeping. You will not pay much attention to signal that comes up during this period because you'll probably be sleeping, and I don't expect you to trade while sleeping. Okay, so you can see a sell kind of pop up because the market is on this resistance zone. So you can see this resistance zone that the indicator is drawing now, and it's a sell kind of pop up. That is because you can see the TDI green is trying to cross into the red. Okay, so that's why the signal pop up. But when the green did not cross into the red moving average before the candle close, it's going to reject that signal. So that is what is happening here. But obviously, we have this resistance zone here, which is a very key level that personally I'll be looking at. I'll be looking forward to. There is another zone here that I will also be looking forward to. Okay, so these are the areas I personally am expecting reaction to go into the market. The market can also reverse from this point. Okay, one other thing I might do is just to draw from this high to this low and see where my Fibonacci level is. Okay, so level 50 and 61 is around this zone, and the market has actually pierced out of level 61. Okay, so these are just the interpretation you give to the chart when all of these things is happening. Okay, but this is still like 1:40 a.m. So everyone is probably sleeping at this period. So I'm not going to pay much attention. But this kind of scenario can also happen during the day. So here is another signal. Yeah, so you can see the market does respect this resistance zone. So as usual, when the signal comes up, it will give you the stop loss, it will give you the take profit. So we have this signal comes up, we have this stop loss, and we have this take profit. Okay. Now I will ask you a very quick question. If you are taking this trade, would you put your stop loss here or you put it above this high? Because if you ask me this question, I'll probably not put my stop loss here for some reasons. This is gold, and you know how gold can be very volatile, right? So unless you have a precise entry, that's why basically for me, I'll wait for the market, to push to this zone, then trade the market, down again, because this zone will give me more confidence than what we have here. But since it respected this zone, this resistance zone at the moment, so probably this might be the solid point. But let's see what will happen. So we have this sell. Just like I said, I'll prefer to put my stop loss above this high. But yeah, let's follow what we have here. So as you can see, the market is trying to reverse above. At the end of the day, it triggered our take profit. Okay. So now remember, the market is in a downtrend. The EMA is still wide enough to give us some continuation. What we are just waiting to see is that the market is rejecting from a very good zone that can push the market even lower. That is our main focus. So as you can see on the screen, the zone is expanding, up to this point. And now what we have is that the market is also retracing back to this zone. Okay, the market is retracing back to this zone. So are you going to take this sell here, or you might not? Remember, look at this sell. So remember what we have in arrow. Arrow will just, whenever TDI is crossing or we have market baseline, this one will also always give us the signal, but we are not going with this, right? We are looking at the zone and then we follow the signal when it comes up. All right, so the market is on this resistance zone. So let's see. So yeah, so the market is giving us a sell on this resistance zone. So this is already in the morning. So probably this is the trade you might want to take because you'll be active, at this time. Right. So we have this sell. As you can see, TDI is crossing in and is on this resistance zone. Okay. We have this sell that says we should enter at this price. Our stop loss should be here and our take profit should be here. Okay. Now, if you want to take this trade, would you put your stop loss here? So it's just some few signals that might give me personally some concern is that this sell did not give me a new low. So whenever I'm going to take this trade, I'm not going to chase a lot of pips. Probably I'll get off at 100 to 150 pips. So at the moment, ATRTP is telling us to catch 220 pips, and our stop loss should be 110. Again, I'm not still comfortable with putting my stop loss here. I will I will prefer my favorite trade will be for this market, to push to this upside and then come down. Okay. But we have TDI, crossing from a very good zone. Remember, this is also measuring, the overbought and the oversold period. So you are probably selling from the high and buying from the low, which makes sense. Okay, so let's see if this market is going to respect this zone and start selling, or the market will do some pushback, trigger our stop loss before going down. So this is looking like a very good trade. You can see it started off very well, almost to TP, then reverses and close, trigger our stop loss. Okay, now this is what I want you to be very mindful of. For instance, so you can see all the signs were there. The moving average is already converging, and we have the TP is like 200 pips. It's not easy to catch 200 pips. It started reversing from 170 pips. I mean, personally, 150 pips, you are fine. Close the trade. But yeah, we got stopped out on this. We got stopped out on this trade. Okay, so if you can see very well, so we now have our supply zone. We have our new supply zone here. So this is looking like a very good day actually. So the market is here around supply zone. So we lost on that trade just because, yeah. So we lost on that trade just because our TP expectation is too much. Okay, so this is also one of the disadvantage of trading with EA. For instance, if my EA should pick on this trade, my TP will 100% be here, and the market almost trigger my take profit, but then reverses and I'm going to lose on this trade. Okay, so this is what you can do manually yourself. Close out on this trade manually and be at peace with yourself. So as you can see on this resistance zone, we also have this TDI sell. Now, like I said, TDI, what TDI does is does to help us make meaning to what is happening on the chart. One other thing I can see on this chart here now. One other thing I can see. So the market is on this resistance zone, and I'm sure you can see that. But one important point to also note here. Look at this. The chart is doing higher highs. Okay, let me take this off. Yeah, so the chart is doing higher high, but what is TDI doing? So TDI is almost at equal highs. Okay, look at this. So if you compare this high to this high, TDI is doing almost equal highs. All right. So this is a divergence. Okay, a divergence. Not really a good one, because when the charts give us higher high in this instance, okay, what we're expecting the indicator to give us is a lower high. So a lower high. So we can draw higher high, and then we can draw our lower high. So in this case, this is a regular divergence. So this makes more sense than what we have here. But this is also a pointer, to also tell you that the market is not ready for the buy at the moment, or the market is still going to give us more sell, more sell. So I'm just calling your attention to see what I'm talking about, that when you are using TDI, you are using TDI to make meaning to what is happening on the chart. So we have another sell here. Stop loss is here. Take profit. I will also ask the same question. This is already doing London session. So, I mean, you should be active to take some trade during this period. So we have this sell market, the TDI cross here, and the market is selling. So our TP should be here now. So what you can see also is that the market move towards the TP, move back in, but this one actually come back to trigger our take profit. Okay, not like this one that reverses and then go back to stop loss. So the market can be very dynamic. Okay, the market can be very dynamic, and also don't lose track of what we have. We have our demand zone here. We have one demand zone here. We have the recent demand zone here. So we have another demand zone here. Also, you can see that a new demand zone is happening here. Okay, so I'm just calling your attention because our TDI can decide to give us a buy. Okay, so that you know what is happening. Oh, okay. So the market is dropping. I mean, um a trade can happen here because what I can see basically is that this market is already trying to reverse to the upside. If you look at it very well, the market is trying to reverse to the upside. We have this nice demand here. We have this nice demand here. If you ask me, I will wait for TDI movement around this zone and I'll buy. Or wait for TDI. If I didn't get the movement I'm expecting here, wait for TDI to come to this zone and I'll buy. Okay. Now, the TDI is not going to give you this signal because I already filtered by the trend. I just want to trade in line with the trend. So you can see that EMA filter is on. So it's not going to show me the buy. But I mean, I'm just explaining to you so that you know that the importance of this indicator is to help you visualize what is happening in the market. Okay. So let's play. If I get some reaction there, I'm going to go in for a buy, but I will definitely wait for this market to come into this zone before I go in for the buy. So as you can see here, the market, comes into this demand zone. Right. I'm just looking for a good reversal pattern, candlestick confirmation that will trigger me into this market. We want to see how this market is going to play around this zone or this zone. Like I said, I love the obvious zone. I'll be more comfortable to take a buy from this zone, okay, than this zone. But the market can also reverse from this zone. So I'm looking out for my TDI cross or market baseline cross, not this one that is not so smooth. You can see what is going on. You can see what's going on compared to the way we have this cell, the way we have this cell. They look really smooth before the cross. So that also gives you some kind of features you have to look out for every signal you're taking. So now we have a rejection from this zone. We have a rejection from this zone. So the market probably, I will wait for a strong bullish candle if I'm going to get into this zone. But what I'm also looking at is that the market is doing lower low here. Okay, market is doing lower low, but TDI is doing higher low. Okay, so certainly the divergence is happening, but not happening, in a very clear way that everybody will know that something is happening. But if you get what I mean, you can see the low is getting higher here, while the low is getting lower. When you see something like this, make sure you wait for the signal that will trigger you into the market. Yep. Look at this now. So this is what I call drag. I call this thing drag. If you look at what is happening here, I call this drag. Okay, the market is just dragging. The market is just dragging, doing these highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. Look at what the TDI indicator is doing us. It's doing like it's giving us higher lows, and this one is doing lower lows. Now I'm going to wait for this market to react on this zone, then I'll go in for my buy. So now I'm more comfortable of taking buy at this zone. Everything is from TDI basically. Yep. So now we're having rejection on this demand zone. If you get what I mean, you will notice that the indicator is not going to give us any buy signal here because obviously look at the demand zone. It has expired. This is the new demand zone. Now we have this demand zone. So basically, the market is trading below our recent demand zone. Also, you can see the movement average was trying to converge. Now it's not giving us a very smooth downtrend. So again, you still have to have all this fear in you when you are doing this thing. But also from this low to this low, look at what TDI is doing. So this is a clear lower low, right? But this is not a clear, lower low on our TDI. So probably something is fishy around this zone. Yeah. So the market now is giving us like a strong move. I'll probably enter the market after this market baseline cross. Look at this. Looks neater than all what we have around this zone. Okay. I'll go in for a buy here. This is against what we are trading, but I mean, let's just see what will happen. Also, I like to exit my trade at the nearest demand or supply zone. So I'm going to be very careful of this zone. Look at this supply zone here. Okay, I'll put my TP here. My stop loss will definitely be below this. Again, if you're doing 1:2, you can do your calculation or look for your perfect entry. I don't do 1:2. I don't do any ratio. All I want is to take profitable trades. Okay, if you're interested in doing 1:2 calculation, probably you will need to filter your entry and what you're doing, but I'm not doing that. So let's see. One other thing you can also wait for is to see W pattern, but W pattern, oh man, so this is a very good trade. This is a very good trade. I can't remember where our entry is, but this is a very good trade. So the market traced back to this zone and then start going out. Again, look at this drag. When you start seeing this drag, know that the market is going to is about to make some funny moves. So you have to be very, conscious when you are trading of this kind of movement, especially when you are trading gold. Gold will always make some funny movement before you see a massive movement like this. All right, so we have the market bounce off from our demand zone, but in the indicator did not actually give us this buy. We took this buy because we really understood what is happening in the market. We know where our zone is, and then we can go into the market. All right, so don't forget, I'm going to take this off. Remember, I just do this to show us where I'm going to take out my profit on this trade. So now, if you look at this, we have our new supply zone. So we have a new supply zone here. So we are seeing in this downtrend, the market is not giving like a clear trend because yeah, we broke out from this lower low here. But overall, the market has not given us like a clear low of the day. This is the low of the day we had. The market tested it and started going up. So we need the market to either break to the upside. Remember, this is a 5 minutes time frame. So we need the market to clearly break to the upside or break to the downside to know the direction we are going in the long term. Also, if you look at TDI, you can see TDI has now moved out of the Bollinger Band. So this is what is called shark fin. Remember what I said about shark fin, that shark fin is a reversal pattern and they are very good to show reversal. Right, so I'm looking out for this shark fin because I really love trading shark fin. If you even want to trade shark fin alone, you can trade shark fin on 30 minutes time frame and you will enjoy trading with shark fin. So yeah, the market this push back. We don't have any supply zone here, so basically nothing to take down into the market. So the market is now pushing up again. Remember, we are looking for reaction around the supply zone. Also, you have to take note that So you also need to take note that our EMA is converging. So it looks like we are going to have this cross, and the market will start going to the upside. Then our mindset is going to change from selling to buying. So yeah, the market pierced into the supply zone. So we don't have any TDI cross here, but there's something I can see here now. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see what I'm seeing here. If you can see it, then I think you are a master already. So look at this. This is a clear higher high structure. Okay, market made a clear higher high structure. Look at what TDI is giving us. Okay, so this is a lower high. Chart is giving us higher high. TDI is giving us lower high. This is a clear scenario of divergence. Now, we've identified divergence on this chart now. What we are waiting for is to have our property TDI course or market baseline course, okay? Or probably wait. The market might do its dragging, into this zone, do the dragging into this zone, and then we'll sell off, around the supply zone. I mean, this is just what you need to look out for when you're trading with TDI. You can even set out the time you want to trade. Let's say you want to trade during London session, and this is what you are looking out for. What is happening in the charts? What is happening on the TDI? And is it on a very solid zone? Are you buying or are you selling? And that's all you have to do for the day. So now this is a clear divergence. Market's making higher high, TDI making lower high. This is a clear regular divergence. I'm just waiting for a candle that will sell off, then I'll get into this market. Again, you have to also be very careful. You have to be very careful because look at TDI, look at the moving average. The moving average is converging. The moving average is converging more like unless I don't know, it's like the market is going to cross to the upside and it's going to activate our uptrend. So, but let's just wait to see if a miracle will happen. So yeah, we have this market baseline sell. This is a clear divergence. Okay, this is higher high and this is a lower high. Clear divergence. I mean, let's see what is happening on 15 minutes. Let's see what this looks like on 15 minutes. If you check 15 minutes, yeah, higher highs, there's no clear high or low here. Also, what you can notice is that we have a TDI cross on 15 minutes. We have TDI cross on 15 minutes. And you can see the zone is clearer on higher time frame. That's why I said if you know how to do this, use this TDI, it will make sense to you. Then you can switch from higher time frame to lower time frame. You can see that the supply zone is clearer on 15 minutes. The demand zone where we took this buy is also clearer on 15 minutes. Look at this, very clear on 15 minutes. Yep, and we have few more information on lower time frame compared to what we have on higher time frame. But you can see the obvious supply and demand zone on 15 minutes. Okay, so let's just go back to 5 minutes to see. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go in for this sell. So we have this sell level. Yeah, let's go in here. Our stop loss here and our take profit Yeah. So I'm going to respect this take profit. This is like 250 pips, 247. So this is like 250 pips. 250 pips is a lot. If you use 0.1 with 250 pips, that's like you making $250. Right. And I don't do risk to reward ratio. So if you do risk to reward ratio, you will need to follow 1:2. But I'm not doing that. So that's why I'm not going to be doing any 1:2. And the major reason why I'm going to exit my trade here is because of this demand zone here. You can see the market started pushing up here. So I'm going to get off this trade at this zone. Probably I'm seeing that this market can still get back to this previous support level. But personally, I'm not going to wait. I'll just get off here. So let's see. This is a very smooth trade. Okay. Again, I will advise you when you spot divergence like this. Look at this higher high, lower high. This is a clear scenario of divergence. Get into the market. I showed you this here. Look at what happened. Higher high, lower high. It's very clear. The market will drop. This you can see almost the same effect. And this is 2025 chart. Look at this. Clear drop. The market is going to crash. Look at what is happening again. The market is going to crash. So when you spot divergence and you see TDI confirmation into the market, just going, guys. You can see even though the moving average is trying to converge, it's still expected that. Like I said, I'm going to leave this market at this zone. Look at this candles that is happening here now. I don't like to get in the middle of this, right? So I'm going to leave the market here. But one interesting thing to also take note is that we're having a shark fin. We're having a shark fin, which might probably push this market to the upside. But personally, I don't like this support zone. All right. I will also wait for the market to come back here, even if I'm going to take this buy. I will wait. See, I don't joke with what I call dragging. Okay. One thing you have to know about gold is that you see this zone, you might do your analysis and then think gold is going to buy from this supply zone or for this support zone. But gold will do what I call dragging. Will just be going up and down, come back to this supply zone, support zone, and then start buying. Okay. When you see your setup on gold, don't take the trade. Calm down. Wait. If the market is going to drag, it will drag to a closer zone, and you will see the action you're expecting from that place. So I'm not going to do any buying here, even though the setup is almost there. I'm going to wait for the market to come back to this supply zone from this support zone. I don't know why I keep getting it wrong. From this support zone before I get into this market. So yeah, we have shark fin. I'm definitely not going in. This is not my kind of trade. I don't care if the market will go to the moon. Yeah, you can see now. More like dragon. More like dragon. You can see it will continue. You see, more like dragon. You see, finally. You see, I can take this one. Let's just risk it. I can take this trade and probably, yeah, because you don't know, the market is now turning like it's going on a downtrend now, right? So I'm not going to expect the market to get back to this high again. I exit my trade on the nearest support or resistance zone, so I might probably get up for this trade here. Also, I don't do 1:2, 1:3. If you want to do it, you can do your calculations. I'm not interested. I'll get off from this market. This is like 150 pips. I'll get in this trade and get off on this resistance zone right here. Right. One thing that the market can do, okay, if you're very conversant with gold, is the W pattern. So the market can come down, move up, come down again, and then move back up. I don't know, that might not happen in this case, but when the market is coming down, I'm still secured with this zone. Either trigger my stop and or trigger my TP. So let's see. It looks as if we are doing a very good example here because almost all our trades, oh man, trigger TP. Almost all the trade is a winning trade aside from this one. Yeah, so I had a very good trade here, 150 pips out of the market. Again, this is me just trying to tell you, and remember, this is a counter trend. Okay, you can see that the TDI arrow or the TDI zone did not suggest any buy or sell for me. I took this trade because I really understood what is happening in the market. Okay, so as you can see, the market is also rejecting from that same zone I talked about. So let's see what will happen next. So we still have our supply zone here. The market is going higher. So this is another shark fin. This looks like shark fin, okay? But I will not take this kind of sell. Again, look at the resistance. I will not follow it. And is on level 50, the mid level. Okay. I will respect this one at the obvious zone, overbought and oversold period. I will follow the same principle here. I will not take this sell, okay, for two reasons. I will be expecting drag. The market will just drag to this resistance. I prefer taking myself from this zone rather than any sell signal that will come up here. Again, TDI is the moving average is trying to cross. You have to be very careful with when TDI is struggling. Sorry, when moving average is struggling to cross to the upside, because it's just going to give you one massive movement you're not expecting. So I will not take this sell. Remember, this sell is not following our supply and demand zone. It's just based on TDI cost. This one is based on market baseline, but I will not follow. I will wait for the market to come to my resistance zone. If I see the reaction, then I'll go in with the trade. Yeah, so this is another day. So far, this day we have 5 trades, 5 trades not based on the indicator, basically. Well, 4 based on the indicator, 1 not based on the indicator. We have a very good trade. We have a number of trades today because the market is not really trendy. Okay, this indicator is also good for market that is not very trendy. If it is trending as well, you have good signal into the market. If it's not trending, you get a lot of buy and sell because it can act as a reversal signal and can also give you a trend signal. Okay, it depends on how you filter your trades.